if you say, no, you're old and ugly, then perhaps you would not end your marriage very peacefully. And Takahiro is certainly right. It does seem like common sense to do this. But Kant remained single, so we cannot use this argument against him. Kant remained single throughout his 80 years of living. Why was Kant so strongly opposed to lying? Perhaps someone had lied to Kant. I don't know. But Kant was against lying because he thinks that if you're not truly honest to each other, then those bonds might not in fact be real. Perhaps it's more of like a Machiavellian game, a dark shadow game where people are constantly protecting their rights, doing what's in their interest. In Japanese, we call these people foxes, right? Foxes. Perhaps, Kant says, we're not going towards the ideal society if we keep on lying to each other, if we allow these kind of lies. Everyone seems to say a white lie is okay. Well, let's explore a slightly different case. Imagine this time that rather than me asking you about time, imagine that your brother was in a serious and tragic bicycle accident. Your mother has a terminal illness. She's very sick, and she's in the hospital. Today is the day when you go to meet your mother. You go to meet your mother once a week. And today is the day you meet your mother. You go up to her, you say hi, talk for a few minutes, and then she asks you how your brother is doing. Your brother, you already know that your brother was in a tragic accident, but you don't want to tell your mother because you don't want her to become worried. Kant would say that you are not allowed to deceive your mother because your mother is also an autonomous human being capable of reason. It's not your decision to decide whether or not your mother should be worried. Your mother deserves to be treated as an end. If you sympathize with your mother, if you're trying to protect your mother, Kant doesn't say that's bad, but Kant says you're treating your mother as a means. You're not letting your mother decide for herself. So let's take a poll. Raise your hand. In that situation, would you be morally justified in telling your mother whether or not your brother was in that bicycle accident? Does everyone decide? Raise your hand if you think you are morally justified in telling your mother that your brother has tragically been involved in a bicycle accident. 1, 2, okay? And raise your hand if you think you are not morally justified to have to tell your mother. Okay? Let's hear this time once again from the majority. Why would you not have to tell your mother about the circumstances of your brother? Sorry for rhyming.
It might depend on individuals. Some people might like to be told the truth, but generally I think there's no need to make her sad because she's going to die. So the truth doesn't matter to her. It's better for her to. Our brother is in a good situation.
That's good. And what's your name? Tomonari. Tomonari says, your mother is unfortunately close to death, and it might make her more peaceful if we did not tell her the truth. This seems to appeal to our sentiments. This seems like common sense, but Immanuel Kant still says no. Regardless of the circumstances, says Kant, regardless of how you feel about being honest, you have a duty, a moral obligation to be honest. So who disagrees with Tomonari? Who says and who sympathizes with Kant, who thinks Kant is right in saying that you have to tell the truth to your mother. Okay.
That is true. The mother is close to death. However, if we think more, if we think a more big words viewpoint. So we think about so the mother will be whether the mother will be happy, whether the mother the mother will be happy if she is informed the son's injured or not. Nothing. And she would be shocked if she was informed the truth. However, even though she is informed the truth, she will be shocked. However, she will be happy to know that before dying. Thinking about knowing and not knowing, ignorance, probably knowing a little later, thinking after more information.
I understand. And what's your name?
Kento.
Kento. Kento disagrees with Tomonori. Tomonori had said, if you lie to your mother, then you're protecting her, you're letting her die peacefully. But Kento says no. Sometimes knowing is better, even if it does cause pain. Even if it causes pain, it would still be better if you knew the truth. So let's change this case study just a little bit. The Japanese government, during the end of World War II, was telling its citizens, even in 1945, when clearly Japan was losing, the Japanese government continued to tell Japanese citizens that they were winning the war. Now, according to the Japanese government, they didn't want people to panic. They wanted to keep people vitality. They wanted to make sure that people's moral will to fight in this war was maintained. And most of all, during that time, who knows what the military was really thinking, but the military was saying, this is necessary to protect the emperor. Now, I want you to tell me, looking back on the Japanese government at that time, were they right in deceiving the Japanese public? Were they right in deliberately telling the Japanese on purpose that the Japanese were winning the war, even as the Americans got closer and closer and closer to Japan? They passed Guadalcanal, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Chichijima, Okinawa. They were coming to Kyushu, and even then, America was clearly knocking on Japan's front door, but the Japanese government was saying, we're winning this war, no problem. Were they right in doing so? Kant would say no. Kant would say the Japanese citizens are all autonomous human beings capable of reason. Perhaps the reason why the atomic bombs had to be dropped in August of 1945 was because the Japanese government was lying. Kant would say things like that would never happen if people were truly honest with each other. Now we begin to see some of the reasons why Kant is so against lying to each other, regardless of the white lie, regardless of lying to your mother, or the government lying to the citizens. A lie is a lie, says Kant. No exception.